The Indian Miss World and the Rage of the Muslims of the World by Dr. A. Ahmed. This story continues the story of the Arab sugar daddy and the beautiful Indian girl, and the story of the Indian child bride and the old Arab husband. They were written in English and translated into Arabic by Dr. A. Ahmed. It is a love story narrated in 6 books. Book 3, From a Slum Girl to the Queen of the World Beauty. Copyrights. All rights are reserved. No part of this book may be reproduced, stored, tribal system, or transmitted in any form or by enemies without the prior written permission of the author, except by the reviewer, who may quote brief passages from the review for general printing in a magazine, newspaper, or a school journal or university article. All characters in this novel are fictional, and any resemblance to actual people, live or dead, is purely coincidental. Chapter 1, The Violation of the Privacy of the Detained Girl. Meanwhile, the famous film director, Mr. Mahmoud Khan, could not keep his promise to the beautiful detained Muslim girl Iffat Khan. For 30 days, he treated her like a lovely princess and provided her with all kinds of entertainment. For 1 month, he visited her often in her room and spent time talking to her. He did not rape her or try to force himself on her, but he is always getting so much tempted by her unmatchable beauty and exceedingly sexy body. She is like the fresh meat of a deer, and he is like a starving wolf. Masturbation is the only thing that keeps his sanity and control his insatiable lust to rape her. He made her swim in a bikini while sitting by watching her. Her wet swimming costume, while stuck to her sexy body, pomegranates like breast and large backside, tempted him often, but he always controlled his sexual urges. He struggled to control his passions and desires. He thought she would fall in love with him and offer herself to him willingly. Unexpectedly, for Mahmoud Khan, at least Iffat Khan turned out to be emotionally dead, and she's also a sexual teenage girl. She seemed to have no interest in men or sex at all. Mahmoud Khan deceitfully installed a spy camera in her bathroom so that he could watch her sexy body while she was undressed. Frequently, while she was taking a bath, he would be locking himself in another room, masturbating at her sexy image on a large screen TV. It is the only way he could keep his urges in check. Mahmoud knows that eventually he would be needing Iffat's sexy physical body to satisfy his uncontrollable sexual desire for her. He is still unwilling to rape her. He understood that if he forced himself on her, she would think him no different from her wicked Saudi husband. His sense of arrogance and pride would not allow her to equalize and identify him with that dirty Arab pedophile who is kept under lock and key and waiting for a dangerous trial. There is some confidence in his ability to attract women and to have them fall at his feet. He wants her to fall in love with him and come into his bed on her own accord. As the days rolled by, he began to feel disappointed and frustrated. She seemed to him as if she had no heart or had no sexual feelings for any man. He observed her closely since the day his men kidnapped her and brought her to his farmhouse. He has not seen her masturbate. He kept for 4 secret surveillance cameras in her bedroom and bathroom and videotape her movements day and night. Mahmud Khan decided he then had to induce a sexual desire for men in Iffat Khan. He changed all the Indian movies he kept in her bedroom and replaced them with hot pornographic movies that could cause the nun to disobey her lord, and said for a man to fuck her up and satisfy her unsortable urges, or at least she would masturbate her virgin pussy and get self gratification. He expects watching them would stir her sexually and develop in her body a healthy desire for men. But that trick did not exactly work how he wanted it to. Looking at his surveillance tapes, Ifa seemed to be unhappy watching her first pornographic movie in his farmhouse. She could not watch it for more than a few minutes. It reminded her of her bitter experiences with her wicked Saudi husband, who began to practice tying of children with her at the age of 7 and began to rape her when she was 9 years old. Flashbacks of the old man and his coercion methods of starvation and beatings are associated with pornographic films in which he forced her to watch with him and do to him what she was seeing in the buck-naked girls do to their male partners. Therefore, watching them again kills off any stimulation or a curiosity that may have been evoked in a normal young teenage girl like her. If anything, she felt glad she was no longer under the influence of that evil Arab old man. She wishes and hopes that no man would ever again force her to do with him what her Arab husband did to her for 10 long years when she was held under his captivity and abuse in Eritrea and Iran. Eventually, Iffat Khan discovered that all the movies in her cupboard are on the same subject, and she is compelled to watch them for entertainment and enjoyment, having nothing else to do. She gradually began to be stimulated by those hot movies. She even started to imitate some of the sexual moves the actresses perform with their hands on their big boobs and naked private parts. Subsequently, little by little, Mahmud Khan awakened Iffat Khan the concept of self-pleasure and opened her up to new possibilities. It did not please him that his plan to attract her to him did not bear fruit. Whenever he showed up in her room or met her somewhere in his huge mansion, she reverted it into a sexual girl he was now so familiar with. When his bomb movies did not advance his plans, Mahmud resorted to another tactic. He decided that he would have to catch the sexy teenage girl red-handed in the very act of masturbating. He expected that this situation would find her in the throes of pleasure, and then she would not be able to deny him any longer. He took his time until the day she took a pass. He sneaked into her room and hid. He knew from watching her that her favorite time to watch those hot-bone movies is after taking her bath. Whenever she watched it, she would close every window and door, sit on her bed, and participate. Iffat has many activities in the day. She always starts her day by having some tuition classes in Hindi and English. Her tutor is an old Indian man. Every day, she is made to spend a couple of hours with him, learning to read and write in English and Hindi. After having lunch, she would have 3 hours of free time. She could go and play on the swing in the garden. She would also, when she desired, go swim in his swimming pool. Once so often, she would just sit in the beautiful garden and soak in all the colorful birds that flitted among the many lovely flowers and roses. After having her dinner, she could always be counted on to take a bath. Mahmoud told her that she should take a bath every day after her daily activities. After taking a bath with warm water, Ifat always spent at least a couple of hours watching pornographic movies in the home theater she has in her beautiful bedroom. That particular evening, Ifat spent a long time in the bathroom before she reappeared again in her night dress. She is happy to have a warm bubble bath in the tub. She is singing an Indian song which she learned from one of the movies she watched. Ifat began to love her new golden cage and is fond of her new master too. By comparison, her former Arab master could not compare in the slightest to her new Indian master. Mahmud has never tried to harm her or starve her for withholding having sex with him as the wicked old geezer used to do to her in his mansions of terror. She might have been content if life continued in the same way every day. For her, it is bliss. Whatever she wanted it, she got. She saw that paradise would be exactly the beautiful palace she was living in now. In a short time, the imprisoned lovely princess Ifat became addicted to those Bond movies. She saw that the good man who saved her from her cruel husband and brought her to his palace had added those movies to increase her enjoyment. Before this, she always saw that the function of sex was to give a man pleasure and the woman unbearable pain. She has known no other way. The Bond movies started to change her perspectives on sex. It seemed to her that sex is somehow pleasurable without violence and the beatings she had come to associate it with. Ifat has closed all the windows and doors of her spacious bedroom and walked over to her home theater system and selected the Bond movie she likes most and inserted it into the DVD player. She does not bother to shut off the lights. As soon as the Bond movie began to play, she stripped off her night dress and red underwear and then jumped on her huge bed and began to watch it. Getting excited fast, she lay on her stomach, stretching out her legs as wide as she could. Her legs are long and evenly rounded. Her backside is raised up and slightly oversized. She is keeping her chin up supported by her hands, and her now fully developed breast beaked like two pomegranates. Everything about her body could be seen by the man who is hiding in the room except her private parts. She is completely naked. Her sexy posture kindled a fire in Mahmud Khan like an electric current and aroused him beyond measure. His excitement reached the limit of his control, and he knew that if he denied himself any further, he would probably explode in frustration. Waiting for the right time, he continued to watch her, just a few feet away, with Ifat completely unaware. After 20 minutes of erotic footage, Ifat flipped over and began to rest on her right side. Once she changed her posture, it exposed her completely to the hiding man. She lifted her left leg and her right hand moved in slowly to touch her hairy pussy. She began to massage herself gently. Her left hand found the corresponding breast and started to caress it. Her hand is moving rapidly from breast to breast and fondling the nipple of both boobs. Then her fingers began to pinch her navel's hard. The right hand that is cupping her private parts lost two of its fingers, which have disappeared in her pussy. She began vocalizing her pleasure, and the room resonated with her moaning. Mahmoud started staring at her waiting lips and sighing. Her tongue rhythmically licked at her lips, and soon she lost interest in the movie. Her eyelids closing erratically. She eases onto her back and is spread eagled as if she is getting ready for her sexual partner. She folded her legs and placed her feet near her big buttocks. Her right hand has lost its gentle strokes and took on a more ardent and rough action as if she is feeling pain and she wants to soothe it. She became lost to the world, soaring in the indescribable ecstasy of pleasure. Mahmoud Khan has lost his self-control. His consciousness, his conscious mind switched off, and he became an animal looking at his bare female mate. He felt like a very hungry beast with fresh meat within his reach. He came out of his hiding place and walked quickly to the uncovered meat. Ifat had suddenly become aware of someone in her room. She opened her eyes and saw a man standing in front of her. First, she saw that she was hallucinating, but then she saw that the face was familiar to her. She perceived it as the kind man who saved her from the cruel husband and brought her to his beautiful palace. She felt very shy and embarrassed. She changed her position quickly, gathered the colorful bed sheet around her, and covered her naked body. Her heart was beating fast, and her body began to sweat. She could not utter a word. She waited for the good man to shout at her and rebuke her for the immoral act she was doing in his house. Instead, Ifa saw the man is now sitting beside her. She felt his hand touching her head. His hand began to shake when it felt the sweat on her forehead. When the frightened girl does not push him or his hand away, he concludes that his heart's desire is going to be fulfilled at last. He knows that beneath the bedsheet is the sexiest female body he has ever seen in his life. She is within his reach, and she is for him and him alone. His hand moved from her forehead and traveled down to her cheek. She does not resist yet, but that has not convinced him she is yielding. His hand moved to her lips and began to feel them. No reaction still. He moved yet closer to her and took her in his arms. Iffat remained stationed in her position as if nothing is happening. Despite her lack of reaction, when his hand moved quickly and grabbed one of her bare breasts, she pushed it away and retreated. He did not like her reaction and the way she pushed away his hand. He tried to hug her again, but she prevented him. She used both hands and forcefully pushed him back. Mahmoud Khan waited for a few minutes and tried to approach her again. This time, he held her head, pulled her long hair with both hands, and began to kiss her mouth. She struggled to free her lips from his stronghold, but he overpowered her and controlled her with both hands. She began to kick with her feet. Nonetheless, all her efforts could not stop him from forcibly kissing and licking her sweet lips. When he let go of her lips and began to remove the bed sheet from her naked body. Ifat began to scream for help. Her screaming jolted him back to sanity and humanity. He understood that if he continued to force himself on her, whatever gains he has made in winning her over would vanish and she would hate him for raping her. He knows that if he raped her, he would never dream again of winning her love. As a result, he stopped and asked her to forgive him for his indiscretion. Ifat stopped screaming and began to weep. After that, Mahmud Khan tried to convince her that she had tempted him through her actions. He justified his violation of her privacy by lying to her. He said that he had a spare key to her bedroom. He came there to look for something important and he found her naked and masturbating. Therefore, her sexy action made him lose his temperance and sanity. He promised that he would not try to have sex with her against her wish again. But the outraged girl Ifat said nothing and continued to weep. Mahmud Khan stood up, left her, and went out of her room like a defeated soldier or a lover who lost his battle because he had been humiliated and rejected by his female sex partner. Chapter 2: Beauty and the Beast. The greatest film director of Bollywood, Mahmud Khan, has become extremely disappointed by Iffat's last refusal. He believed that no man in the world would find a young and beautiful, sexy girl like Iffat in that tempting position when she was bare naked and also masturbating and leaving her and walking away without having sex with her. Even a Christian saint, a Muslim holy imam, or a Hindu sannyasi could not resist the temptation of raping such a visibly buck-naked, sexy 18-year-old beautiful girl and going to hell and burn for all eternity. Therefore, rape is steadily becoming his last option. He decided to give her one more chance. If she would not allow him to have sex with her within the week, he would rape her for sure, whatever she may think of him. After that, he does not care. Visions of her naked body lying in bed masturbating are torturing him day and night. He could not think of anything else except her sexy bare body. It is not the easiest of times for a man used to having young pretty women fawn all over him, and they are giving in to all his requests. Howbeit, before raping her, the arrogant Mahmud Khan decided to blackmail Iffat Khan in a way that would make her come to her knees, and then she begs him to spare her life. Then he should tell her that he would not rescue her unless she would agree to be his secret second Muslim wife. To carry out his blackmailing scheme, he emptied the entire cupboard from those Bond movies. He put only one single video. He had anticipated that the lovely girl Iffat would play it and watch her unpleasant surprise. The video contained a secret recording of her while she was naked and masturbating. The recording also showed when he approached her and began to touch her naked body. After making her watch it, he decided to approach her and tell her that he would send that shameful video to her dangerous Saudi husband, who was recently released from the Mumbai jail and is searching for her. Mahmud Khan knew that Iffat feared the old geezer more than she did the devil. Then he will tell her that if she does not want to go back to the despicable Arab man, and for him to be brutally punished her for her agreeing to be videotaped in that shameful manner. She should stay with him and be his secret mistress. He has some local newspapers on hand with photos of the old Saudi man when the corrupt Hindu judge of the High Court declared him innocent and acquitted him with honor. The evil man Mahmud Khan has decided to use those pictures and articles to mislead Iffat Khan into thinking that her Saudi husband was released from prison and at present he is frantically searching for her. In the meantime, Iffat has changed a lot after Mahmud Khan caught her masturbating in his house. She stopped watching pornographic videos. She retreated into the demeaning black burqa, thinking that it would save her from the man who kidnapped her and imprisoned her in his house. Now she looked like a caterpillar who went back into her ugly cocoon. When Mahmud Khan brought her to his farmhouse, Iffat came out of her black burqa and transformed like a chrysalis into a butterfly, but now she is back to being a cocoon. He tries to convince her not to dress up in her black burqa, but that does not work. She is covering herself up with her black burqa day and night, not even coming out of her room to swim in the pool. She refused to go to the beautiful garden and enjoy the sweet voices of the singing birds and watch the colorful flowers and roses. She is no longer playing on the garden swing. She became very gloomy and distant. She behaves as if she has recently lost someone very dear to her. She is locking herself up inside her room all the time. She does not remove her Islamic abaya and niqab except inside the bathroom. Her behavior brought great sadness to the heart of her kidnapper. He blamed himself for violating her privacy and breaking her wings. His new plan to blackmail her again did not work because the sad girl Iffat stopped watching any of the videos. After all his tricks and secret plans did not work, finally Mahmud Khan made up his mind to have sex with Iffat Khan forcibly if necessary. But he hates the idea as it goes against his broad character. So he came up with the idea of tranquilizing her and then raping her. He bought strong sleeping tablets and planned to hide them in her drink. He knows that she loves to drink milk after dinner. He dissolved the sleeping tablets in her milk and then asked the female cook to take the dinner tray to his new actress. Mahmud Khan has already convinced all his servants and maidservants and guards that the new lovely teenage girl Iffat Khan is an Indian Muslima girl from Iran. Her parents are wealthy Indians, but she was born and brought up in Tehran. He brought her to his mansion on the farm to teach her the Hindi and English language so that he could give her a leading role in his upcoming movie. Although she speaks Urdu and Hindi, she still cannot read or write in any of these two important Indian languages. She finished her schooling in the Persian language. That particular evening, the so-called new film actress ate her dinner and drank her milk as usual. As soon as her system digested the milk, she fell asleep on the chair in front of the dining table. Meanwhile, the notorious womanizer Mahmud Khan is sitting in another room and watching her through his surveillance cameras. He waited until he knew that she had become completely under the influence of the strong drug. By then, Iffat has already slid off her chair and is prowling all over the floor. The wicked man came out of his room and, like a thief in the night, crept to her bedroom and unlocked the door. When he entered her bedroom, he found her lying unconscious on the floor. He took hold of her black veil and uncovered her face. Her face looks like the face of an innocent female child who fell asleep on the floor and needs her loving mother to come and carry her and put her on her bed. Mahmud Khan bent over her body and lifted her up in his arms, carrying her to the huge bed and laying her in it. He then sat beside her with joy and expectation and began to look at her beautiful face. Her closed eyes deprived her face of its half marvelous beauty. Nevertheless, he bent over her and kissed her on the lips. He found her lips lifeless and very cold. He stopped kissing her lips and started to touch her breast. He uncovered her breast and began to caress and fondle her nipples. He found her breast cold and lifeless too. Not too concerned, he began to undress her. He stripped off her black burqa. Then he removed her salwar and kameez. After that, he began to remove her inner clothes piece by piece until she lay completely bare. Mahmud Khan began to explore her sexy naked body and feel it everywhere. But then he found her unconscious body to be lifeless. There is no response to his lustful touches. He felt as if he is trying to arouse a corpse and have sex with a female zombie. He has never expected himself to practice necrophiliac sex or sleep with the dead body of a girl. He lost his mood and regretted it, putting her to sleep. He initially thought that he was going to enjoy himself, but what he wants is the girl he has seen on his spy cameras, aroused and masturbating deep in the throes of sexual pleasure. Mahmud felt as if he has dug a body out of its grave and tried to rape it. He simply could not sleep with Iffat's unconscious body. He replaced all her clothes and left her lying on the bed. Iffat remained under the effect of the strong sleeping tablets for an exceedingly long time. When she woke up the following morning, she was feeling drowsy and her head ached. Feeling nauseous, she forced her unwilling body to the bathroom and vomited everything she ate that day. Her digestive system had not digested her food and she began to tremble, sweating profusely. She lost her strength and fell on the floor. Her head hit the edge of the tub on the way down. She began to bleed copiously on the floor. The captive girl, Iffat Khan, almost died that day. Fortunately, her fate has been intervened by the female cook who came to serve her breakfast. When she does not find Iffat on her bed, she correctly assumes that she is in the bathroom. She places the tray on the table and knocks on the door of the bathroom. She wants to tell Iffat that she has brought her breakfast and that she must come and have it before it gets cold. When Iffat does not respond to her calling, she pushes the door of the bathroom. She becomes so frightened when she sees Iffat lying on the floor and her face is covered with blood. She saw that the new film actress had committed suicide. Too scared to touch her, she ran to her employer and babbled to him the disturbing news. Mahmud Khan asked the cooking woman to summon his doctor and asked him to rush to the bedroom of his new film actress. Then he ran to Iffat's bedroom and began to tend to her while waiting for his private doctor. Mahmud Khan has not told his private doctor what he had hidden in Iffat's milk the previous night. He says that she most probably had food poisoning. However, the private doctor understood that Iffat had a serious illness caused by something entering her system and preventing her digestive system from functioning properly. Then the private doctor steamed Iffat's bleeding and revived her. After that, he prescribed her some antibiotics and strongly advised the sick teenage girl to remain in bed until she fully recovered. Mahmud Khan does not like how the situation is turning out. Not only has he miserably failed to win her love, but he has also made her distrustful and suspicious of him. Given his need to have her arouse and respond to him while having sex with him, he decided he would better try another intoxicant, alcohol. Chapter 3, Having a Second Muslim Wife. The devil incarnate, womanizer, waited for a few days until his female captive victim had recovered her health again. He knows that she always drinks juice after breakfast. He added to her morning juice some extra strong Indian liquor called Tara or a Daro. Tara is similar to moonshine in America or a hook in South America. It is made by fermenting the mash of sugar cane juice and ground up bulb in large terracotta spherical containers. The fermented mash is distilled to nearly 90% alcohol or 180 proof. Good Tara is comparable to vodka. Unfortunately, hundreds of Indian villagers die each year from copper formaldehyde poisoning induced during distillation. Iffat Khan ate her breakfast and drank her juice without realizing what had been hidden in it. She had never tasted alcohol before. Given the potency of Tara, this first time female drinker has become fully intoxicated almost immediately. Everything in front of her is now moving. She felt like she's falling off her chair. She slumped to the floor and sat on it. She still could not control her body. She decided to go to bed and sleep for some time. She saw that maybe she had once again contracted the same illness that caused her to be bedridden for many days. She tried to stand on her feet, but she could not. She crept on her knees until she reached the bed. Her body responded to the strong liquor and she felt only half conscious. She felt her body as stiff as stone. She managed to force her body until she became lying on the bed. She has fallen on her stomach. After that, she could not move a limb. While she is living on her stomach, she felt someone come and sit near her. She felt his hands take hold of her body and turn it over. After that, she saw her kidnapper sitting near her with a faint smile on his lips. Mahmud Khan tried to talk to Iffat Khan, but she did not respond to his words. She is drunk and oblivious to the world. He stretched his right hand and removed the niqab from her face. She is sweating as if she is living near a furnace or lying on the hot ground or inside a sauna. Her breath is loud as if she is snoring. Mahmud began his seduction by massaging her left hand. She did not stop him. His hand traveled on her arm and shoulder until it reached her left boob. He began to fondle her breast. She did not push his hand away. He bent over her face and began to kiss her lips. Her lips are so hot to him, almost as if he has kissed a frying pan. Her entire body is extremely hot. She is not sexually hot, but she is having an extremely high fever. Nevertheless, Mahmud Khan stopped kissing her lips and began to remove her clothes. The fully intoxicated teenage girl does not show any objection or a response. Although she could see him as a silhouette of a human being, still she could not feel his hands touching her. The devil incarnate undressed the upper part of her dress. Then he started it to touch her fully exposed breasts and fondle them. He expected that she would respond to his touches. Her hands and legs remained stationed in their position as if they were paralyzed. He does not bother about her lack of response to him, going ahead and stripping off all of her clothes. She is lying on her back and every part of her body is exposed. The only thing that moved was her half-open eyes. Mahmoud began to touch her pussy, but she does not try to stop him. He saw that she was enjoying his touch, but due to the strong effect of alcohol, she could not show any response. He went ahead and removed his clothes. Before bending over her half-conscious body and raping her, the lustful man began to hear her snoring loudly. When he looked at her face, he saw that she had fallen into a deep sleep. Her eyes are shut. Mahmoud, disgusted with the turn of events, wondered if he had given her too much alcohol. Seizing with an indescribable frustration, he stormed out of her room, leaving her lying barely naked on the bed. Patience has a limit, and Mahmud Khan has just reached his limit. He concluded it was high time to have sex with her by hook or by crook. Giving up his soft methods of coercion, he steeled himself to rape his lovely female captive. He determined that as soon as she became sober again, he would go to her bedroom and rape her. So far, apart from the unlawful detention, Mahmud Khan believes there has been no rape or abuse of his captive girl. It is like the Prophet Muhammad, who decided not to rape a 6-year-old girl, but to practice the tying of a female child with her until she reached 9 years of age. In the Quran, the man is allowed to do whatever he wants with the woman except for penetration. This is called in the Quran the Al-Lamam. See Quran Surah Al-Najm 53 verse 32. A Muslim man one day came to the Prophet Muhammad and told him that a woman came to his shop and he asked her to come inside to choose the best fruit dates he had. The woman believed his words and walked in. He immediately seized the woman and began to rape her. Then he went to say to his prophet. He hugged her, kissed her, undressed her, caressed her breast, and fondled her private parts with his fingers. In short, he touched her bare naked body everywhere and did everything to her except penetrate her vagina or pussy. The Prophet Muhammad ordered him to wash only his body through ablution and did not punish him in any way. Based on the decision of the Prophet in Sharia law, hugging, kissing, fondling, and touching a woman everywhere on her naked body by a man who is not her husband would not be considered adultery, and hence there is no punishment for them. Even anal sex is not adultery. A sexual act of adultery is defined by penile penetration of the female vagina. Even if an evil man has inserted a stick in the pussy of a woman or even his wife's vagina, is not a sin, and there is no punishment for fornication such as flogging or stoning him. Therefore, according to Sharia law, the official Islamic law, whatever the beast man Mahmud Khan had done so far to his female captive victim Iffat Khan is not adultery or rape, and hence he has no punishment in Islam. His last attempt had also failed miserably, and there is nothing to do but wait for her to recover from the effects of alcohol and poisoning and rape her. While Mahmud Khan is waiting for Iffat Khan to awaken, he noticed her Saudi husband's photos on the front pages of all the Mumbai local newspaper. He read the articles under the photos and discovered that she was also wanted by the Mumbai police for her involvement in the greatest conspiracy that ever hit the High Court and the two police departments of Mumbai and Hyderabad. He understood that he saved her by kidnapping her at the right time. If she had still lived in the same hotel when the huge scandal had wrecked the judicial system and the two police departments, he might have been behind bars by then and beaten and gang raped by many uncircumcised Hindu police officers. Although he is now her savior, Mahmud Khan decides to twist the situation and use it to blackmail his captive girl. He knew and understood this is his last remaining chance, and therefore he decided to play his final card very carefully. Now he can get her to agree to have sex with him without the need for him to rape her. The captive girl, Iffat Khan, has never been in a real jail before. In her mind, the jail is a place where bad people are brutally beaten up and tortured and finally killed for their hideous crimes. She remembered that her mother, Rehana Khan, went to jail and never returned. Her Saudi husband told her that her Indian mother was stoned to death for her bad deed of bulliandery. When she became sober from the effects of the strong daru liquor and her evil captor showed her the newspaper which published her husband's photo on their front page, he frightened her to death. Even her photo when she was a 7-year-old female child is included in each newspaper. Ifa saw that he was going to hand her over to the police. She cried and begged him not to inform the Mumbai police about her hiding place. She even fell at his feet and kissed them with her lips and begged him to spare her life and hide her from the Indian police because she did not want to go to jail and get killed there. Mahmud Khan agreed to spare her life, but he put forth some condition. He told her that if she did not want to go to jail, then she had to accept his conditions. Iffat has acquiesced to his demands before she even heard them. Still, he insisted she must hear his condition, agree full-heartedly to all of them. Firstly, she must stop wearing her ugly black burqa, hijaban, niqaban, and ibaya, and put on mothering clothes which he has given her. Secondly, she must allow him to have sex with her anytime and anywhere he would love to do it. Even she must allow him to practice with her besides the vaginal sex, anal sex. Thirdly, she must agree to become his second lawful Muslim wife and live with him in his beautiful house forever. He confessed to her he had a lawful first Muslim wife and one son. Iffat Khan, out of fear for her life, has agreed to fulfill the conditions of her evil captor. Shortly after his lovely captive girl accepted his three selfish demands, Mahmud Khan brought an imam of a mosque from Mumbai with two male witnesses and conducted his marriage with his Muslim wife number 2. The greatest Bollywood film director refused to recognize Iffat's first marriage with the Saudi old man. He considered her former matrimonial relationship with her Saudi husband as kidnap, rape, and imprisonment of a minor girl. Whatever he has done to her, he concluded it is neither harmful nor bad deeds in Islam, sinful deeds in Islam. Then and only then, the captive teenage girl has allowed Mahmud Khan to abuse and rape her body while he's while he is having sex with her for the first time. She feels like a person who's undergoing a painful major surgery without anesthesia. She concluded abuse would not torture her as he had done to her. She now hates him with bitterness and understands that he is not less cruel than her evil Saudi captor. Her two evil masters have many things in common, even their religion, ages, and names. She has just switched hands from the captivity, rape, and abuse in the golden cage of her former Arab kidnapper Ahmed to the new gilded cage of her Indian abductor Mahmoud, and from a cursed Satan to his Antichrist, whose beast and she is the beauty. Chapter 4. The Tragedy of Verghese Family. One of the most serious social problems that are facing India after the caste system and abject poverty is interfaith or intercaste marriages. It is also known as a mixed marriage. It is a marriage between lovers or partners professing different religions or a caste. All major world religions, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Sikhism, prohibit mixed marriages. No Indian family will agree for their daughter or a son to marry someone from a different religion or a caste. If a Hindu boy falls in love with a Muslima girl, no Hindu bandit will agree to conduct their marriage. Likewise, no Muslim mazun or imam or a mullah of a mosque will agree to conduct a nikah marriage between a Muslim girl and a Hindu boy. The lovers will be left with the only choice they have available for them is to run away to a faraway city and live together without being married. They will live in cohabitation without the benefit of marriage. Such relationships, which are called in the West the common law partners or the conjugal partners, are illegal and sometimes punishable by law. The helpless couple will have to face condemnation and ire from both of their respective societies. They may not find any property owner who will be willing to give them an apartment to rent. In addition, their children will not be admitted to any school because they will be considered bastards or illegitimate children. To solve this problem, the government of India adopted a new marriage system which is called court marriage. Any couple not able to marry within the religious system could get married by the judge of the marriage court. While this is lawful, all habits die hard, and society is slow to accept such irreligious matrimonial relationships. In many cases, Muslim girls who defied their families and married their Hindu boyfriends were killed by their Muslim fathers or brothers. If they are not killed, they are considered outcasts and their children are considered illegitimate bastards. This social problem is not confined to Muslims and Hindus only, but to other lovers from Christian, Buddhist, and Parsi devotions. Parsi is a distinct religious community in India, At the time of the Arab invasion of Persia, Persia, today Iran, the dominant religion of the region was Zoroastrianism. The Persians rebelled against the forced conversion to Islam by the Arab invaders for almost 200 years. After many failed attempts to free the country from Islamic domination, the Persians were forced to either pay heavy jizya or convert to Islam. If Persian Zoroastrians refused to pay the jizya or convert to Islam, then they would be killed. During this time, many Persians, who are now called Parsis in India, rejected the three options and instead chose to take refuge by fleeing from Iran to India. One of the most famous situations of interfaith love affairs is the famous love story between a Muslim boy and his Christian girlfriend in the Borivali area at the northwestern end of the cosmopolitan city of Bombay. Real names are changed for privacy and protection. Muslims are the biggest minority in India, while Christians are the smallest. There are 200 million Muslims to the 24 million Christians in India. Hindus number more than 950 million. This particular Christian girl fell in love with her Muslim male neighbor when she was noticeably young. Their affair started when she was 16. According to Indian law, she is still considered a minor. Her Muslim boyfriend is 21 years old. The girl's Christian father hates all Muslims and considers them to be two-legged animals. He beats their women and he looks upon them as female victims. He believes that Muslims are the most dangerous of all Christians in the universe. He blames them for the terrorist attacks happening all over the world, and he believes their holy book, the Quran, to be a terrorist manual book. Anyway, the unwavering hatred of the Christian man, Mr. Joseph Verges, toward Muslims is built on a strong foundation. He has a son and a daughter with his lovely wife, Suzanne. His son, Joshua, once held a very good job. At that time, Joshua worked at an import and export company in Nariman Point in downtown Bombay. He earned a large salary of thousands of rupees per month. Every month, the son used to bring home 50,000 rupees. Mr. Virgis used to love his son to the point of worshipping him. His son was highly educated and very committed Christian. He was not yet married, but his parents found for him a beautiful girl who had a white complexion and was highly educated. Joshua and the girl gladly accepted the choice of their parents and were betrothed to each other. The girl likewise was a committed Christian and held a high paid job in the Colaba area. Just a month before their arranged marriage was scheduled to take place, something terrible happened. Mr. Joseph Virges had previously worked at the railway station. His wife Suzanne is a female teacher in a college of Mumbai University. Rita, their daughter, was still in school, registered in grade 10. They were a very happy family. Unfortunately, their happiness was shattered one day when their only son Joshua was killed in a very brutal way. He was blown to bits and pieces by a bomb that Muslim terrorists had planted in the first class room of the local train. Mr. Virgis' life was shattered by the cruel way his son was killed. He became so grieved for his son he could barely function from day to day. From that day on, he started to hate all Muslims. He held every Muslim responsible for the untimely death of his beloved son Joshua. Although not every Muslim man is a terrorist, Mr. Virgis generalized and considered all Muslim men terrorists. He began to hate them all with an unequal hatred. Chapter 5: Cruel Revenge. While Mr. Virgis is struggling with the death of his only son, he finds out that his one and only daughter is in love with a Muslim boy. He has become extremely outraged and stands firmly against his daughter's friendship with a rich Muslim guy. The Muslim boy is a grade 10 dropout, jobless, and has no plans. Mr. Virgis threatened the Muslim boy with death if he ever came near his Christian daughter. Rita, being a young teenager, cannot stop how she feels for the Muslim neighbor she has grown to love. They cannot get married in court because she is just 16 years old and therefore she is still a minor girl. Indian law does not allow a court marriage at Indian law does not allow a court marriage at 17 unless parental consent is given. In this case, the only way Rita is going to get married is to wait for her 18th birthday to fulfill the requirements for a court marriage without the express consent of her parents. Although Mr. Joseph Virgis tried to scare the Muslim boy by threatening to kill him, the boy did not break off his friendship with his daughter. The two lovers continued to meet in secret. When it became clear to Mr. Virgis that the Muslim boy is not going to leave his daughter alone, he found a Christian boy in his church and promised to give him his daughter in an arranged marriage as soon as she reached age 17. He even paid the family of the boy 500,000 rupees as Rita's dowry. Dad accepted it. Rita found herself betrothed to a Christian boy that she was to marry the moment she turned 17 years of age. In India, everything seemed to be opposite the rest of the world. The girl is supposed to pay the dowry in her marriage instead of the boy. When a girl reaches a certain age, her parents will look for a boy and pay him a dowry to marry their daughter. This gives rise to another vile custom. Many married girls were burned alive by their in-laws. Some evil in-laws burned their daughter-in-law so that their son could find another girl to marry and receive another dowry from the daughter's parents. The victim is usually burned in the kitchen so that her husband and in-laws can say to the police that she died accidentally when the gas cylinder exploded on her. Sometimes the family would tell the police that daughter-in-law committed suicide. When the Muslim lover came to know that the marriage of his Christian girlfriend was already arranged by her father, he did two things to block it. Firstly, he brainwashed his Christian girlfriend and made her accept Islam. He promised to take her to another city and marry her as a Muslima girl. The girl believed him and went with him to a nearby mosque, and she officially embraced Islam and received her conversion certificate from the Imam after she pronounced the Shahada, Islamic creed. Then her Muslim lover changed her name from Rita to Rabia. Secondly, fearing that her conversion to Islam was not enough blockage, the Muslim lover impregnated his beloved Christian girlfriend on purpose. He normally used condoms, but this time he abstained from using one because he thought it would deter her parents from being able to go forward with the promised arranged marriage. He reasoned that if neither her conversion to Islam nor her pregnancy was able to stop her marriage to her Christian fiance, he would kidnap her and run away with her to another city and marry her as a Muslima girl. Then the Muslim lover phoned the Christian fiance of his girlfriend, informing him about his relationship with his fiancée and that she is carrying his child in her womb. He also informed him that Rita had embraced Islam and changed her name to Rabia. The Christian fiance became extremely angry and therefore approached the father of his Christian fiancée and told him about the pregnancy of his daughter and her conversion to Islam, and he thereby broke the engagement. Indians are like the Arabs when it comes to the virtues of family. A girl who is engaged in premarital sex, even once, is no longer considered a marriageable girl. Even if the affair happened 10 years ago, it would haunt her for the rest of her life as if she had a criminal record. It does not matter whether she has sex with her lover or not, she will be counted as a lost cause. Her parents can never find a boy to marry her, no matter how much dowry they offer to pay. Mr. and Mrs. Virgis have two options. They either allow their illegally pregnant daughter to marry her Muslim boyfriend or take the matter to court. If they decide to follow the first option, they have to wait for 6 months until their daughter reaches 17 and then marry her to her Muslim lover. If they decide to punish the lover for statutory rape, then they can lodge a police complaint. The court might convict the lover of rape of a minor and sentence him to at least 10 years in prison. The second option will punish their Muslim neighbor, but it will not repair the damage and humiliation they will suffer in their South Indian Christian community. They will never find again a Christian family from among their community that will be willing to allow their son to marry a girl who has been impregnated by a Muslim or a Muslim boy. The word Muslim is a racist term and used in India the same way the word Paki is used in the UK and Negro or a nigger in the USA. The third problem the Virgis family has to come to terms with is how a Christian family brings up a pastor child in their South Indian Christian community in Mumbai. Legally, their daughter will not be allowed to abort the baby because she is still a minor. She could abort the baby if the case reached the courts and it is proven that her Muslim boyfriend had impregnated her. If her boyfriend denied that he impregnated her, then the court has to wait until the child is born and a DNA test will be carried out to determine paternity. Meanwhile, the scandal will permeate their entire neighborhood and the parents have to deal with much impressment and humiliation in their Christian community. Considering all those problems, Mr. Virgis suggested that Mrs. Virgis suggests that they must allow their daughter to marry her Muslim boyfriend. Howbeit, Mr. Virgis has other ulterior motives in mind. When his beloved son Joshua was blown up into smithereens inside the local train by a bomb blast planted by Muslim terrorists, he considered all Muslims in the world responsible for the cruel death of his beloved son. Likewise, when his only daughter Rita has been impregnated on purpose by her Muslim lover, he felt she had been raped by all the Muslim men in the world. And more than that, his daughter's conversion to Islam is something that he can never come to terms with. He would rather wish she was dead and gone forever than bring stigma to her Christian family by becoming a Muslima girl. Consequently, Mr. Virgis decided to take revenge on the rabies of his daughter. He knows that if he kills him, he will make him suffer for a short time before he dies. He decided to punish him in a way that he must suffer and feel the effects of his cruel revenge for the rest of his life. As the Muslim boy has impregnated his Christian daughter on purpose and convinced her to convert to Islam, spoil her life, and destroy the name of her parents, Mr. Virgis wants the rabies of his only daughter and the destroyer of his family to suffer the rest of his life too. He wants to make this bad young Muslim man long for days, hoping to thereby relieve himself from the suffering that he will experience every second of every minute of his life. As it is, relief for him is only if he took his own life. Mr. Virgis allowed his wife and daughter to believe that he was willing to forgive his Muslim neighbor, and he agreed for them to get legally married. He said that as soon as his daughter reached the age of 17, he was going to allow her to marry her Muslim lover. Then the parents told their daughter to go to her Muslim boyfriend and inform him about the family's decision. After that, Mr. Virgis told his daughter to invite her boyfriend for a meal at their home. He promised his daughter that when her Muslim boyfriend comes to the evening meal, they will decide the date of their marriage. When the Muslim boyfriend came to enjoy food with the Christian family of his girlfriend and received the good news of his upcoming marriage, Mr. Virgis carried out his planned revenge. He splashed burning caustic acid on the face of the young Muslim man. If Mr. Virgis had soaked him with kerosene and set him on fire, his pain would have been severe but short-lived. His daughter's lover has been blinded by the burning acid and began to run around helter-skelter, stumbling over the chairs, sofas, and tables. He then fell on the floor and began to roll around and scream from the terrible pain. Mr. Virgis ignored the obvious suffering of the Muslim boy and the crying of his Christian daughter. To Mr. Virgis, he is a poisonous snake and is being chased by the devil with a pitchfork in hellfire. He has not even stopped to talk to his wife, who is shouting in his face. He left his house immediately, went to the nearest police station, and turned himself in. Shortly after his arrest, the police car and ambulance arrived at the scene of the crime. The Muslim boy is rushed to the nearest hospital, still screaming and crying from the terrible pain. He survived, but his face is marred and scarred by the burning acid. His nose, eyes, eyebrows, and lips have been completely erased from his face. No human being can look at his hideous face without throwing up or turning away. The cruel wrath and the incredible revenge of her father and what he had done to her future Muslim fiancé led the Christian daughter to take her own life. Rita locked herself inside the washroom, cut her wrist, and bleed to death. While he was waiting for his trial, Mr. Virgis learned of his daughter's suicide, and this only increases hatred toward Muslims. He felt that all Muslims of the world were responsible for the destruction of his loving Christian family.